Hello YouTube, and welcome again to Channel O. What you're looking at is my 2008 Porsche Cayenne, in which I just replaced the left headlight bulb. Now when I say the left, I mean the car's left, so it's the one on your right. They tell you to replace these in pairs, so I have yet to do the one on the right hand side of the car. The other thing is, I'm not totally sure I like the color. Now, I don't think the video picks this up, but the new bulb, the one on the car's left, your right, is just slightly more yellow than the one on the car's right. And there's a reason for that, and I'll show you the bulbs. The reason is that the replacement bulb that I bought cost $50. If I would have bought the Porsche recommended factory replacement, each bulb was on sale for, what, I think the pair would have been $320 or something like that. So it's a considerable saving, but because of that, I changed the color, and they call it the temperature, slightly. Like, again, it's a little bit more amber on the left-hand one, your right. In any event, what I want to do in this video is show you how to take out the headlight. And again, I should have turned these lights out because it's so bright. I'm going to take out that headlight assembly, which Porsche got down perfectly. It is so simple to remove this. It's amazing to see how easy it is to do. And then I'll show you the HID headlight bulbs that I use for replacement. Now, this kind of thing's been on the internet before, but what isn't on the internet is something I figured out with the actual HID bulb that had me stymied at first. I couldn't figure out how to do the direct replacement. But in any event, like I say, what we're going to do is take out the headlight, show you how easy that is, pull the bulb, put a new bulb in after I've shown you how to put it in, and then slide the headlight assembly back into the car. So with that, we're going to go on and take a look at the actual bulbs that I bought. Alright, what you're looking at are the two boxes that go with the two HID headlamps, headlight bulbs, that I ordered over Amazon. These are Philips products. They're original Philips products, and they're not counterfeit. In other words, that's what this little hologram thing is supposed to assure. But the big driving force is that they're a D1S bulb. Okay, Philips D1S. The trick is, like I said, these bulbs have a little bit different hue or color or temperature, whatever you want to call it, from the original bulb. I think they're just as bright, but I think the color's different. Over here, we have the original part that I switched out already. I don't know if you you see this, it's kind of fogging up on the inside. I don't know what that means. This, let's see if I can get that. This is an OSRAM part. See, the number on it is 66141. If you call OSRAM, you find out that 66141 is a dealer-only part. So for me to replace this light, I think they were they might have been $224 each, something like that. And that's from Suncoast. I think it's called Suncoast. And that's OEM. So instead, see that OSRAM part? I bought this part. This is the one that we're going to put in today for the right-hand one. So this part goes with this box. They are identical, okay, except for this has a kind of a darker collar around it. But when you plug them in and they light up, the one that I'm putting in, like I said, is just a teeny bit more amber. When I put both lights in and I look, the theory is I'm not going to be able to tell the difference. Right now, I can tell the difference. I keep on bouncing the camera like this. I apologize for that. I won't do that anymore. Anyway, like I said, I got these both off Amazon, and they were $50-odd each, and I think that's well worth the investment at this point. So what I'm going to do now is I'll take you out to the car, show you the tool that comes with the car that you use to pop out the actual headlight assembly, and we'll switch that out. Before we actually go out and do that, I forgot to mention this. It's very important, and you'll read anywhere on the internet about halogen or HID bulbs. You can't touch the glass with your fingers. If you want to touch the glass for whatever reason, don't know why you would, wear rubber gloves or wear cotton gloves or something like that. The theory for that is this glass, this bulb, burns at super hot temperatures, whatever temperature range that is. If you deposit some oil from your finger anywhere on the bulb, that creates a super hot spot, and it can crack the bulb. Now, I don't know if that's because there's a temperature differential and that causes the crack, or that it just gets so hot that it's too much for the glass and that causes the crack. In any event, when you're handling these bulbs or any kind of halogen bulbs, don't touch the glass part with your naked fingers. Okay, so much for that lesson. Okay, so what I've done is lifted up the cargo cover, and this is the spare tire and tool kit. What we're going to want to use is this tool here, because this is the tool that Porsche provides to remove the headlight assembly. It's pretty simple. What this is going to do is fit into a reverse, I call it a reverse socket, kind of like a giant Allen key, and it's going to actually spin a clamp, kind of like a cam, and that will force the headlight assembly out of its fitting. So I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So now I've opened the hood, and I want to direct your attention to a couple little hatches. These are on both sides. See, it has like a little headlight on it. I've done this side already. But this is how you get to the bolt that controls the cam that's going to release the headlight assembly. So you have to figure out how to open this. And it kind of spins out. So I kind of popped it like that, and it just pops out here. So I'm doing this one-handed. It's a little sketchy. All right, inside, well, I'll tell you what, let me get right back to you. I'm going to get a flashlight and I'll show you what this is going to insert into. All right, I don't know if you can see that because that hose is in the way. Let's see, there we go. There's like a socket right there. I call it a reverse socket. It's like a key that you'll fit into. Anyway, you put the end of the tool in there and spin it. That's what I'm going to do right now. Let's see if we can do this. Alright, I had to have the flashlight in my mouth. See how that goes in? And it's very simple. So, what we're going to do is each one of these, they are mirrors of each other. So they loosen different ways. The one on the right-hand side of the car, which is this one, loosens, in other words, ejects the headlight counterclockwise, okay? So that's what I'm going to do right now, is spin this counterclockwise, and you'll hear it pop. We'll kind of watch this. See, by spinning this counterclockwise, it pushes out the headlight. So, it's hard to do with one hand. Trying to pull this out. So, this comes out. It won't come all the way off because of this fitting right here, or or excuse me, the electrical connection, all I'm going to do, you just wiggle that out, okay? Can't really see it that well. See if that helps. I'm just going to disconnect this and the headlight's going to come out. I'll have to do that off camera. Alright, I think I depressed that little tab, and this whole thing, this is the outer portion here, it's just going to slide off. Let's see if I can wiggle it off and you can see it. There we go. Alright, that's free. Now what I'm going to do is just take off the headlight assembly. It's going to slide right off. Okay, the headlight assembly's out, but I want to show you a couple things on how this works. Remember, I said this is like a little cam action. See that silver thing? See how it turns? When I do this, it's actually coming up against a recess, kind of like a hook-like thing in the end or the bottom side of the headlight, and it clamps it in, just like that. Loosen, tighten, loosen, tighten. The other thing that's really important is when you line up the headlight assembly to get it back in, you've got to pay attention to the underside of it and how these little dogs fit in the underside. And I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get back inside. Okay, before we get into that, I just wanted to briefly mention that my granddaughter was feeling crummy and I want her to feel a little better. Here's a picture of us together. Kind of crummy, but that's okay. So, I satisfied that. Feel better, hon? Alright, here's a picture of the headlight assembly. Here is the headlight assembly. This is afternoon sun in northeast Ohio, so it's pretty bright. But what we're after goes under this. Now, this is pretty simple. It's attached by this plate covers what we need to get at. And I'm just going to depress these tabs and pull this cover plate off. Let's see if I can get it on camera. Probably not. There's one. There's one. Sorry. There's the other. A little bit of dust. Good thing my wife's not here. Alright, so we'll pop this off. Yeah, I'll clean that up later. And it's just going to spin out. There we go. Alright, so now we can see what's inside. Let me see if I can get that picture of it. Alright, this is what we're after. This is the low beam bulb. Didn't know how to get it out. I thought there'd be some bales and some wires that contain it, but there's not. The simplest thing in the world is the way to get it out. Just grab it and turn it clockwise. And there you have it. Pops right out. Here it comes. And it's not held in, but this coil of wire is the connector itself. Now remember, if you've been running your car and it's been on, this thing's going to be hot, so be careful with that. Do not touch the glass. I told you that before. So what we're going to do, this pops right off. I'm going to do that right now. I'll see if I can keep it on camera. Probably not. Just push on this. And let's see if I can see it. Push this little tab in, and it comes right off. Okay? So, now we've got the light. Okay, so here we have the old bulb on the left, new bulb on the right. Alright, so here's the thing. This drove me crazy. I looked at this, and I thought, well, this can't be right, doesn't fit at all. I tried, in my ignorance, to put this in, and obviously there's a fitting on this, and this goes into that housing there. It just goes in and snaps in. I could not figure out why this part didn't come with this. If you go on the internet, you can get these light bulbs with this on them. Alright, so I called Porsche service, and they said, yeah, we can sell you the bulb, and it has this thing attached to it already. It's like, okay, fine. Could not figure out how this comes off. Well, I finally figured out how it comes off, and this is what I wanted to show you. This is a hinge here. This is the top thing. If you push this down, this just splits off. Now, let me get back to this. Alright, I got my handy dandy assistant here. This is how it works. Push this tab down and it will split apart. Okay? So, all you have to do is take this, and it's got certain orientation tabs. See how there's a cutout here and there's a square here. We're just going to make that the same and fold it around there. And let's see if I can get this right. See the little nubs here, they're going to fit. That top one goes in there. We'll close it around. And let's see if I got this right. Maybe I do and maybe I don't. Let's see where the housing is. Okay. So this tab has to go. Yeah, see there's a little square cut out here. I'm touching that. That corresponds with that square. This little raised semicircle corresponds with that semicircular cutout. So I'll just line it up here like that. Okay, so that'll work, and we'll just snap it in. Supposedly, there we go. Okay, this is a retake of something I showed you earlier that I've cut out since, but the whole thing is the point of the collar. When I put this on the first time, I installed it improperly, and when I tried to put it in the housing, it didn't work as well. So let me show you this. I've got this lined up on a diagonal from point to point, north and south. Okay? So I want you to see what I'm touching here. There's a cutout here, and there's a cutout here. This one is a semicircle or a half moon. This is a square. Alright, now remember I'm keeping the diagonal as north or 12 o'clock. Keep getting that string in the way. So what I want to do is take this, and I know the light's not great for this, but where I'm touching, where my thumbnail is touching on this, there's a half moon cutout, and then further along there's a square. Now my thumbnail's touching that. That's how you're going to lay this in. So it fits in just like this. If you start it out like that. See how I put that right in? It didn't require any force at all. There's a square there, square, and the half moon's over here. Now I might have accidentally touched the bulb, and I'm going to clean that up before I actually put it back in the housing. But then when I swing this closed and the clamp comes up here, it just will snap in real soft, just like that. Doesn't require any force or anything like that. That way, if you see these, let's see if I can zoom in on this, these hooks I'm touching here, let's see if I can get a picture of them. They actually go in the housing of the light, and you're going to snap it through. And the object, when you're finished, is this electrical connector that I'm touching at the bottom is going to be in the 6 o'clock position. It's going to go in like this, and I'm going to snap it closed. So that's what we'll do next. Okay, this is the inside of the housing, and I know this light is a little deceptive, but there's about 4 little spaces that the hooks are going to go into, like I said. So we're going to connect the cable, and then we're going to start the light and the adapter so the electric connector starts at about 5 o'clock, and we're going to spin it into the 6 o'clock position. That's going to be our goal. What we're going to do now is just connect these up again, and if you'll notice on this here, you've got the holes for the pins toward the top, and inside here you have the pins. So all we're going to do is just stick this back together again. It's very simple. And I say that, yet it's not cooperating. Here we go. Ready? Alright, so that's all together. Now the object is, again, to finish with this part straight at 6 o'clock. So to do this, I'm going to feed it in. I'm going to start at roughly 5 o'clock. You'll be able to feel it go in. Get the cable out of the way. You gotta wiggle it around a little bit. There we go. It starts more at 4 o'clock, okay? It starts between 3 and 4. See the electrical connector? It'll fit in, and you snap it closed. And we're done with that part, so that's in. Now all I'm gonna do is put these here, go back in, okay? You snap in here, right? And then we're gonna look at the top. Come down here, and they just snap in together. That one's in, and this one's in, and we're done. Okay, here's the headlamp assembly, obviously in the wrong place. Once again, what we're going to do is plug this in first, no matter what. This only goes in one way. It's square on this side, round on another. It just fits in very simply. But the bottom, I'll give this to my handy cameraman, my nephew Jason, so we can thank him for that. The bottom of this, you just stay still for a second. If you see the curve on this, can you see the curve on the hook? Okay, that's what that cam's going to fit into. Now also, these, where my thumb is, okay, there's one of these on each end, and what that has to do is fit in here, okay? So when we slide this along, it has to not jam. And one of the problems I had before is, this is the bottom, I'm touching the bottom, this fin got caught in this kind of stuff and it jammed up and it wouldn't go in. So anyway, this is the only tricky part of the whole assembly. Now I want to make sure that this is down. Okay, so I'm turning this all the way so this cam here is down. If you have it up and you try to put it in, you're toast. So spin it down, and I'm just going to attach the electrical connection, because you don't have a choice. You got to get that done first, and we'll try to slide it in. Okay, so you got that. Again, it only goes on one way. It's pretty simple. So now's the hard part. And what I want to do is look underneath here. I got a flashlight. So you see this fin right there, and it has to go along and not get jammed up. So these recesses have to fit into that stuff. Anyway, when you look at it and you try to do it, you're going to figure it out as you try to wiggle it. So that's what we'll do right now. So let's see. And not working great. Got that one. Okay, so let me see this for 1 second. I want you to see how I made this part here, the big silver plate. There's a little piece of plastic next to that, and that's what's going to slide in. So I'm going to lower this. This dog, whatever you want to call it, is going to go into that prong. So that's what we're going to try to do right now. Here you go, hold that. It might just work. And it goes in, once it's going, it goes in pretty smooth. Watch this. All right, see, it's fitting perfectly. I'm just going to lean on it a little bit, and I'm going to tighten it. Now remember, on the right-hand side of the car, to loosen it is counterclockwise, so we're going to tighten it clockwise. Now I want you to listen to a bang. Hear that? When you hear that, you're done. It's totally locked in. So, and it does that on both sides. All right, well, there's no point in really showing you the difference because it's just going to look a little bit different. The reason I put it in again is because the beams were not equal in color, or they were not to my liking. Anyway, that's the end of this story. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. And remember, if you have a choice, take the high road.